Crime is a social ills. I want to give you the second example. If you don't have enough personnel, policemen, number one. If you don't have enough police stations, number two. Now, what is an egalitarian society? It's when you have a police station in every precinct. Every precinct. For example, I don't know Joburg very well, so I speak as a colored. Westbury should have its own precinct. So is Aldo's, so is Rivoli, so is Coronation, where they have their own police stations. They don't have not just clinics where the people queue, they have proper hospital or healthcare facilities. You've got to take that to the people. You can't tell people, no, a death penalty, you want to do. No, that's dealing with symptoms. You've got to deal with causes. Causes are take services to the people. Not bullshit services, not nonsensical services, real services. Let me give you an example. And we discussed this the other day. Look at the housing list. And this is a real issue of our people. Look at the housing list. Right now in South Africa under this government, supported by the Patriotic Alliance, supported by AIC, of which the people know who they are, this government is not, here in the city of Joburg, they can't even build 25,000 houses a year. They can't. But the housing list is 5 million. So you're not even building 500,000 houses a year. How are you going to get to 5 million? Which means that the problem with housing is going to be perpetuated until Jesus comes. So what do we need to do? We need to be radical. And how do we be radical? We put the right people in who know what they're talking about. We're not stupid. We're not stupid. We know how money is made. We know how money is taxed. And we know the value of money. And we're saying, these, for example, why are we importing fuel? I'm asking you. Why are we importing fuel and yet we've got oil refineries which we always ran in this country? Suddenly, Engen is halfway shut down. We shut down BP and Shell. We got no work at Milnerton. Sasol is just about going.
Yeah.
Those are the issues we need to be talking about as South Africans. How do we bring jobs back? Lastly, if we talk about 5 million people waiting on the housing list, and then our colored people go there and find out, because you need to always go and report, where am I on the housing list? Where am I on the housing list? And you find your name goes lower and lower and lower because, and the reason for that is because we have 100,000 Gobos, right? But we don't have 100,000 Kennedys. So it's very easy to put in 100,000 Gobos unlawfully or nefariously, and we end up going lower and lower and lower down the list. We're saying, and this is one of the first things I'll do when I go to Parliament, I'll put a private bill which says, one, in order to deal with the issue of housing, we need to build 1 million houses a year, right? There needs to be a total eradication of squatter settlements. How do you do that? We've just spent 400 million on Palestine. We've just spent hundreds and hundreds of million, billions in fact, on borrowing, paying interest, only interest. Who's suffering? Not Palestine. Who's suffering? Not the World Bank. Who's suffering? Not the IMF. Charity begins here. Start here. That's our position.
Definitely, I get you. And because you're speaking more about being quite practical in making sure that the residents of different communities in Gauteng will then get to feel and also see how service delivery really looks like.
Absolutely.
So let's speak about also now your plans in relation to, I mean, here we have issues in relation, you spoke about the issue of housing, but then we also have issues with water and sanitation. We have the ongoing power cuts. It has been so many days now without load shedding going on, as we know. But let's speak about how your government, once elected into power, once you go to parliament, as you mentioned, how then will you better attend to issues of water and sanitation, including also the issue of power cuts in South Africa?
Let me tell you my position, or our position. Do I want to be in government? No. Okay? Because 8 out of every 10 people in this country are black.
Yeah.
and it's called patronage. You know what patronage is? The ANC has become a patronage organization. People vote for it not because they like it, they vote for it because they know they're getting something out of it, right? I want to see as a person, so ordinary South African, I'm an ordinary South African. I don't go around telling people I'm a millionaire and I own so many mines and I do this and I do that, because the question I'm going to ask you is, how did you get it? Because if you can't answer how you got it, it means you know different to what the current situation is. What we want to see is reduction of power. Don't give too much power to people who are corrupt. They can deny as much as they like. The fact is, power, look around the world, power is equally dispersed. So no one individual has power. I will use my influence, Kevin will use his influence as a mandate of our party to ensure that money is not misappropriated, but is appropriated. Two, I don't believe that our people with a budget of over 1.6 trillion, of which 25% is paying, and guess what we've paid? The same Patriotic Alliance and all these other guys that are standing and supporting the ANC government started this thing called credit score. That's why our people can't get credit. That's why our people are struggling. The ANC government brought in the system of what we call inflation targeting. It's their policy. Inflation targeting is a contributor to interest. That's why you pay so much interest. We've got to reduce interest.